We have Joseph Ursay. Guest of Joe Pennington, we have Mickey Pennington. Guest of Leo Litsky, we have Jason Fox.
Hey, Jason.
And hello to everybody who's tuning in virtually today. Introducing our keynote, we have Jeff Ronstadt, member since August of 2006 with Ronstadt Insurance. You big round cowboy, you guys know this guy.
So you'll all be glad to know that this will be my last time. But I do want to say, before I get going and introduce David, that I want to thank John Wong, because he went through the highs and the lows of getting Coach Fish here, and he took every phone call I made to him, every email I sent him, cajoling him to get the coach here, and did it with a smile. So thanks, John. Appreciate it. Okay. So David Turpey, a native of South Carolina, David majored in history at the University of Tennessee before moving to Maine, where he completed a PhD in history from the University of Maine. After teaching college-level history at Maine for 4 years, David moved to Kentucky and joined the Kentucky Historical Society, where he served as editor of the State History Journal. David moved to Arizona in 2018 to take up his current position at the at the Arizona Historical Society. At AHS, David serves as editor of the Journal of Arizona History. For those of you that are members of the Arizona Historical Society, it's the quarterly publication that you get. It's fantastic. If you're not a member of the Arizona Historical Society, I highly recommend it, because these journals that David puts together are fantastic. And there are a bunch of them sitting out front for you if you don't know what I'm talking about. Let's see, David oversees the annual Arizona History Convention and directs the statewide exhibition and education teams. He has published his own research in several academic journals. He formerly served as the editorial board of the University of Kentucky Press, and currently serves on the editorial advisory board for the University of Arizona Press. So, fellow Rotarians and guests, please give a warm welcome to today's guest, David Turpey.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us here. I'm joined today by two colleagues. One here in person, Jamie Adams is our curator of education at the Arizona History Museum, and on Zoom is our curator of exhibits, our head curator of exhibits, Shannon Fleischman, who is based at our Tempe location, which is why she's joining us from Zoom. So I sort of have, Shannon's going to help me out a little bit later and say a few words, so sort of like a co-keynote speaker today. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're doing at the Arizona History Museum, which is on 2nd Street. If you haven't been there, we'd love for you to come by and see what we're doing and see some of our new exhibits. So first, I guess, start out by talking a little bit about the Arizona Historical Society, which Jeff gave a little bit of a preview of what I was going to say, but I'll repeat some of that. So the Arizona Historical Society has been around a long time. It was founded here in Tucson in the mid-1800s, and it's grown quite a bit as an organization. And it was originally sort of a Tucson-centric organization. We've now spread across the state and think of ourselves as a statewide organization, but our home was originally here in Tucson, and it's still our headquarters. So we have 4 museums around the state, and I guess I have the power. So we have museums in Tempe, Flagstaff, and Yuma also. So if you're in one of those locations, please stop by and check out our museum. But we do a lot more than just run museums. As Jeff mentioned, we have a quarterly publication, the Journal of Arizona History, which I know I'm a little biased, but I think it's pretty darn good. So, and that's free to members if you become a member of the Arizona Historical Society. And then we also have research libraries. So if you're interested in researching your families, or just you're interested in a topic and want to try to explore that, we have tens of thousands of documents from Arizona's past that we keep and preserve and maintain, and that are open to the public. So check out our card catalog is online. You can type in a keyword, you can do a keyword search and see if we have a document pertaining to someone from your family's past or just anything about Arizona history. And we also do a lot of public programming as well. Jeff mentioned that we run the annual Arizona History Convention, which is every April. It was virtual this past April, but it's usually in person. And we have speakers, usually around 50, 60 speakers on Arizona history topics. It's usually a 3-day event. And then we do a lot of virtual programming as well, so check out our website if you're interested in that. But today I mostly wanted to focus on our museum here in Tucson, which is called the Arizona History Museum. It's on 2nd Street. We offer free parking at the main gate garage. So we have some amazing exhibits at the Arizona History Museum. And I don't want to sort of give away everything today. I hope you come down and see it, but I wanted to do some highlights. So we have an updated gallery on the Spanish colonial period that we have just finished. So here you see a cannon from the Spanish period. We have some pretty amazing artifacts that are hundreds of years old. Mostly we have some weapons, we have some religious artifacts, we have a suit of armor. We have some pretty amazing artifacts that have been preserved for hundreds of years and are now on display in this exhibit. We also have a gallery that's dedicated to Geronimo. So here's Geronimo's rifle. And we have other objects associated with him as well. This is probably the most famous. We have some artifacts that are connected to Wyatt Earp. You can see here, we have a pistol in his wallet. We have his wedding ring, some playing cards, among other items. This is General Santa Anna's, one of his uniforms, the Mexican general and president in the mid-1800s. We also have quite a large mining exhibit, and here you see a recreated mine. So this is not an artifact, it's a recreation, but this is a great area for people to learn what it was like to go down into a mine shaft. And kids, I think, particularly enjoy this area of the museum. We have a transportation gallery, so some pretty large artifacts in this gallery. As you can see here, the item in the front is a buggy that was owned by a physician, so he would do house calls. And the item behind it is a wagon. It's an actual historic wagon from the 1800s, but was later repurposed and used in the movie Arizona from 1940. So it's sort of dual ways to interpret this wagon. One of our largest items is this car from the 1920s. And then upstairs at our museum is an area for kids. So we have, the exhibit is called Tucson in the 1870s. And we look at the different cultures that inhabited Tucson in the area. So we have a recreated ranch house from a Mexican family. We have a general store owned by an Anglo-Jewish family. And then a recreated Tohono O'odham village. So this is a hands-on exhibit. It's great for kids. You have kids or grandkids, and it's the entire upstairs of the museum. So that's a general really 30,000 foot overview of our museum, and I'll now hand it over to to our head curator, Shannon Weissman, who was curated this new exhibit that we have that we're very excited about, called Ready to Launch.
All right, can everyone hear me? We good? Okay. Yeah, thank you for hosting me virtually. So this exhibit is super exciting and personal to me. I grew up in northern Arizona. So David, if you want to go ahead and go to the first slide. I grew up in Prescott, and so our elementary school field trips were up to Lowell, Missouri to do something with space. Can you go to the next slide, David? And then, you know, I lived in Tucson, I'm a Wildcat, bear down. And so I was at U of A when we were working on the Mars rover, and just the excitement around campus, there was just like this energy that we were helping put a rover on Mars, re-excited my love of Arizona space exploration history. And then, you know, growing up in northern Arizona, we had this also pride of training all of the Apollo astronauts. So that's kind of the background on why I wanted to do this exhibition. And this is my first exhibition for AHF. Actually, I was hired in the middle of the pandemic last year. And then, so coming out of COVID and thinking about how we wanted to welcome guests back into our space, you know, the history of space in Arizona kind of just popped into my head as an exciting way to engage with people again and show a sense of pride for Arizona and what we have done. So if you want to go to the next slide, David. So this is our media release. It's called Ready to Launch, Arizona's Place in Space. It opened on May 20th and it closes on November 30th. So you have basically through Thanksgiving of this year to see it. If you want to go to the next slide. And so I wanted to feature some of the highlights, while again not giving everything away, but we have, you know, Buzz Aldrin's spacesuit, which was such an exciting get. This exhibit started with me reaching out to Lowell Observatory and U of A and ASU, but also I wanted to see if we could get something from NASA. And when they agreed to send an Apollo spacesuit, they didn't tell us who we were getting. And so it was a gigantic surprise when we uncrated this 550-pound crate that shipped to us from NASA in Houston, that we read the name tag and it was Buzz Aldrin's suit. And so that is super exciting, and of course his connection to Arizona, because he trained in Flagstaff before he went. He was the second person to walk on the moon. And we have, from our own collections, we also have a Buzz Aldrin space toy that's hanging right next to his suit. So it's kind of perfect that it ended up being shown in Tucson. So I don't know of a more excited artifact that can get you into the door besides saying, we have Buzz Aldrin's Apollo spacesuit in Tucson, so you should definitely come see it. The other image is kind of a wide shot of the uncrewed gallery. So the exhibit's broken up into two galleries. And so this second image shows a little bit of Senator Kelly. He loves us some objects, and so his flight suit and flight helmet are in the foreground of that photo. David, if you want to go to the next slide. So this continues into our crewed gallery, and so that's where the Apollo suit and Senator Kelly's suit are, but it's also where we highlight the research that was done to get the Apollo astronauts to the moon. And so we have hand-drawn moon maps and the pens that were used to do them from Lowell scientists. And then we also take it a little bit step further in time, back further in time, and we have the images, the first images of Pluto, because Pluto was discovered at Lowell Observatory. So we have the glass plates that you can see the first known images of Pluto in space hanging in our galleries. And so those are all the, in the crewed mission room, which works at really the person-centered flight mission and Apollo mission specifically, up until the present, where we have more modern astronauts featured. And then our next room, David, if you want to go to the next slide, is our uncrewed mission. And this is kind of the really exciting part for Arizona natives and universities. our universities are really leading the nation in space exploration and development. And so we were talking about, Houston being the location where the control center and everybody's talking to the astronauts. That's true. And those launches happen in Florida. That's absolutely true. But when we're talking about sending uncrewed missions, most of that research, in part, is in Arizona. So the most recent rover that just went up to space, the control center for that rover is featured at ASU's campus. You can actually go sit and watch those scientists control the helicopter and the Mars rover and collect data. We have OSIRIS-REx. We have the three-dimensional model of OSIRIS-REx, which is on its way back now, which is it captures the most detailed image of deep space that we've ever gotten, and that's a U of A mission. And so I just wanted to highlight the really exciting research and development that's happening because of our institutions in Arizona, to show how not only from the discovery of Pluto, but continuing to present day, how important Arizona is with our landscape, our people, and our institutions are for space development technologies and space exploration. I really believe that we're gonna have a big part in sending the first people to Mars, and hopefully that's gonna happen in my lifetime. I really hope that I'm alive to see that. So this is kind of a general overview to hopefully get you excited and get you to come see the exhibition. I think that's all the slides, David, if you want to see, if there's any more. We did have Senator Kelly and Representative Gabby Gifford. They came and saw the exhibition, and they were thrilled to see it. Gabby Gifford actually gave me a hug and said, "Thank you so much for doing this. This is so exciting." And so it was a sense of pride that, our own Tucson people are responding to this exhibit and are excited by it, enough to talk about it on their social media and to loan us objects. And so it's really special to us that we have this connection, and it's a lot of Tucson focus, but it's also a statewide lens of how Arizona has impacted space exploration. So I think that's all the slides, David. Yeah. So I'll just leave this up and then questions that might come up.
Great, thank you, Shannon. So I think I'll just conclude with a couple remarks, and then if you have any questions, we're happy to answer. But I think it's safe to say that we're probably the only museum in Arizona, maybe the country, where you can see Weider's wedding ring, Geronimo's rifle, and right now Buzz Aldrin's spacesuit. So somebody asked me, Hugh asked me, I think, about future plans for the museum. So we're slowly sort of making some changes to the permanent galleries. There are some galleries in our museum that have been around for 30, 40, and 50 years in some cases. So they do need updating, and so we're working slowly to raise the funds to do that, and to create new exhibits that we hope are exciting for people who are interested in Arizona history. One of the goals that we have, if you notice from the slides that I presented, a lot of the things that I showed you were from, say, before 1900. So one of our goals, as you can maybe see from this new exhibit, which is a temporary exhibit, but this is the kind of exhibit that we want to do. We want to get into the 1900s and slowly into the 2000s. I mean, this is history, and history is the past. So the past just happened yesterday. So we're trying to move the Arizona History Museum. I mean, we love Weider, we love Geronimo, but we're trying to move it into the more recent past, and tell some of the exciting stories that have happened in Arizona in the last 10, 20, 50, 80 years. So that's one of our sort of big picture goals as we move forward. So I guess I'll stop there, and if you have questions for me or Shannon, we're happy to answer anything.
I just would like to say thank you. 100 years ago, our club met downtown at a place called Dickerman's Cafe. No address, trying to figure out where it was. So decided, I finally read that it was on East Congress and that the proprietor's name was Dickerman's. And so I called up the Historical Society and they gave me the address. She oversaw 2 buildings at 7 and 9 East Congress, and one of them was the cafe. So thanks so much.
Sure. That wasn't me who did it. I'll take credit.
Hey there. Can you speak to the what you need to do to preserve different items within the museum? I know there's different levels of things you have to do so they stay, in good shape.
Yes, Shannon probably knows more about that than I do. Shannon, do you want to?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a process when we have an object that we have accepted for donation or that we've acquired it. It usually goes under a condition report, which will tell us if there's any needs that need to be addressed and fixed before it goes into storage for preservation. And so in order to store objects properly, we use something called archival storage, which are acid-free boxes, tissue paper, folders, to ensure that there's no oils or the objects are not touching each other so that they have the best piece of longevity. And then for when they go out for exhibition, there's another assessment that's done, and then we typically only allow objects to be on view for 6 months at a time to ensure that we can preserve them. And so we have to take in consideration air quality, light quality, and if there's going to be any touching that needs to happen of the object to get it on display. And then after it comes off of exhibition, it has to rest for at least 6 months. And sometimes longer, depending on how fragile the object is. So it's a pretty lengthy process, but it goes from basically assessment and then any care or fixing of the object. So think about if you have your grandma's 100-year-old wedding dress, right? So if we're going to take that into our archive, we want to make sure that there's no bug damage, no light damage, no water damage, any of those things. And then if we want it, then we can fix those things as they occur, and then we're going to put it in archival storage, proper storage, and then it'll be in a temperature-controlled environment and light-controlled environment to ensure that we can preserve those objects. Does that answer your question?
I have a question. First of all, I want to say you have the coolest job in the world. I love history. And Tucson has a fantastic history. It's all around us, everything you wake up. I have a question. I think I remember when I was a kid or something, but do we do any time capsules? Are there any time capsules that are going to be opened in the next 30 years? Or you have done any of that project? I'm just kind of curious if there's anything like that. If we've done anything that in Tucson.
Not that I'm aware of. Jamie, do you know?
There are so many different ones that I think that it's hard to really get a sense of how many there are out there. The Historical Society, I don't believe, has anything kind of official. As Shannon said, that's, burying an object is probably not the best way to preserve it for the long term. But I would check with, your high school alumni program, or even the TCC might have a time capsule. But I think the funny thing about time capsules is it's kind of like acorns, in that sometimes we forget about them, and then we find them when we're building a new building, and it's always kind of really interesting to think about how importance changes and how historical value changes over time. So long story short, I'm not so sure.
A few more questions. One is, what was that car? What kind of car was that?
That's a
It's a
Studebaker.
1923 Studebaker Big Six, and it was owned by the
Here's
Can
another
it
one.
be in our car show?
If you want to push it, then
I have a question. David, this could be a little bit political, God forbid. But you do mention the need for donations. I've been associated with the Historical Society for many, many years. We help restore a big part of stone with Pima County and taxpayer funding, and the Arizona Historical Society provided all of the research for us, so thank you. They're also a founding member of the Tucson Attractions Alliance, and thank you for continuing to be a member. But you mentioned a little bit about how we can help you. I think it's probably a little known fact that your budget cuts have been substantial over the years. COVID-19 has been absolutely devastating to your system. We have lost 3 museums, I think, for probably forever. And 2 of them are here in Tucson. Not always generally subject to funding, but funding was a big part of their inability to grow. New exhibits are important. So Dave, can you just say one more time, it's not going to the governor if you fund the Arizona Historical Society, it's going right to their bottom line to help preserve their museums, keep them open, especially the downtown museum. It's unfortunate that that closed, and that's where I'm housed right now. So it's I'm really uneasy about talking a little bit about that, but it's a shame that any of the museums had to close. So we've got to keep the Arizona History Museum open, operating, and continuing with the new exhibits. So thank you very much for the new space exhibits. I mean, I think the artifacts that we have here are so relative to the U of A and to NASA. But I'm gonna be quiet, David. Just one last time. How can the folks here help preserve the Arizona Historical Society? And again, let me remind everybody that money does not go to Governor Ducey. It goes directly to the Historical Society.
Well, thank you for that question. It's a great question. Yes, I mean, money helps solve a lot of problems. And you're right, we did face 3 serious budget cuts. Before I came here, the 2008 recession hit us pretty hard, like a lot of institutions like us. COVID has hit us hard. Our revenue was down significantly because of COVID, and we had to shut our museums down in some cases permanently, in some cases temporarily. So yeah, money certainly helps. Memberships, we're a membership organization, so that's one way to help. Become a member or convince people in your family to join or your friends to join. Just a basic membership is only $50, which I always tell people. I mean, I spend more than that when my wife and kids and I go to Olive Garden for a meal. You know, so $50 is not a lot. And then of course you can join at higher levels, which we certainly appreciate. Coming to our museums, convincing your friends and family to come to our museums, that admission revenue helps a lot. And then of course, we never turn down the monetary donations. So I'm not involved in that side of things at AHS, but there's certainly information on our website.
David, can I add something real quick?
Yes.
So this space exhibit was completely done with sponsorships. So community members donated money to put this exhibition on, to pay to get the Apollo suit shipped to us, and then we have a thank you and sponsors panel that is hung in the exhibition gallery. And so if if you're already a member and you're thinking about other ways, we're always looking for exhibit sponsors, and if your business would be interested in sponsoring, we put out business logos and we shout out thank yous on all of our social media channels to people that help put this exhibit or exhibits together. So if you're looking about like the collection and the preservation and display of objects, that might be a way for you to get involved with us as well.
I'm curious about some of the more ephemeral objects you have in your collection. specifically. They're not things that are going to be on display. But I remember Kagan, when it moved from 6th Avenue to where it is now, I think donated a whole trove of 3/4 inch and 1 inch videotapes of newscasts, etc. And so those are in the archives. Things like that, obviously I'd love to go back and see those, but things like that, what do you do with them?
I don't know specifically about those VHS tapes. I mean, ideally we would make everything like that digital, but that also costs money. The digital storage costs money. The budget for our library is pretty small, so I don't know that they've digitized as much as they would like. But that's the goal. Yeah.
How big are the archives?
We have a pretty massive collection. I mean, it's mostly documents, but we do have some other things like VHS tapes. But yeah, we have I don't know if JD, you know a figure offhand? I mean, it's
what AHM is 8,400 square feet, something like that.
no 85,000.
85,000, sorry.
Yeah.
So 85,000 square feet, and we've got 3 levels of archival stacks plus the reading room. You're probably looking at millions of documents just in Tucson. We also have the Arizona Heritage Center, which has even larger archival holding in Tempe. And then we have archives in Yuma, and then also archival material hosted at the Klein Library in Flagstaff. So we were the state's depository for kind of all official state documents up to a certain point. So we're talking lots and lots of pieces of paper, lots of buttons, all kinds of things.
Well, and I'll add too that we have most of the news broadcasting archivals in Tempe as well. And then we also have like old Arizona shows like Wallace and Ladmo. So we all have their videos and stuff. And so those are also part of our future plans for digitization. So we can maybe show clips of those in our permanent gallery update. So that's part of the plan as well.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. David, we appreciate you coming today. We have a tradition in our club in which we like to have our keynote sign a book that we donate to our Make Way for Books library, so I'll bring this down and have you sign it. Question for Chris Mooney. Did Cameron Moore put you up asking that question? Is he missing a pair of parachute pants? Junior high years? All right. Moving on, we have some birthdays to celebrate today. Let's see here. Two birthdays. The first one we're celebrating. His birthday is on June 10th. I don't know who that picture is. Gary's been a member since June of 2017. He's originally from New York Mills, Minnesota, where he grew up on a farm. Though 3 days after graduating high school, Gary enlisted in the Army, where he found 3 days. 3 days after graduating from high school, he enlisted in the Army, where he found a passion for blowing things up. He was stationed in both Colorado and Hawaii, and Colorado is where he stayed and attended massage therapy school. There he found a passion for helping people who are in pain. Eventually he found his way to Arizona through Sedona, stopping there for a few years to work as a massage therapist at Miamo Spa before moving to Tucson. Gary partners with Raytheon, helping their employees through pain issues, and he's a proud father to Grace, who we had the pleasure of meeting last week. He enjoys outdoor activities, biking, gardening, snowboarding, hiking, and you also may know him as our Sergeant at Arms. Come on up here, Gary.
Thank you. So glad to be here. It's been a blast to be a Sergeant at Arms. Love this group. Thanks.
All right, the next birthday we're celebrating is a new member. He just joined this past March. His birthday is on June 18th. Born in in New Rochelle, New York. He moved to a suburb of Chicago when he was 9 years old. Eventually, he graduated with honors, multiple honors, from the University of Illinois. He passed his CPA exam while he was still a senior in college. Before he started his own consulting business in 2016, he spent 15 years in private equity as a CEO of 4 different businesses and 17 years as a senior executive in business development, consulting, and finance for several global corporations, including Kraft and Rotary. He enjoys hiking, world travel, riding, and wine. Who doesn't like wine? And just a reminder, do not challenge this guy in a game of darts. He cannot be hustled. The guy put himself through college by winning dart tournaments. Come on up here.
Birthday is a perfect time for reflection. Allow me to reflect. You're only young once, but you can be immature for a lifetime. Aging is a high price to pay for maturity. Middle age is when your classmates are so gray, so wrinkled, and so bald, they don't recognize you. Inside every older person is a younger person wondering, what the hell happened? One of my favorite Marcus Aurelius quotes are, live not one's life as though you had 1,000 years, but live each day as if it were your last. Yeah. One of my favorite Cherokee proverbs is, when you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. I have but one birthday wish, and that is to share with you the following 28 words. There are 2 kinds of people in this world. There are those who are justifiably impressed with us Rotarians, and there are those who have not yet met us.
So today's take was $200, so a quarter of that, $50, is going to whoever gets this ticket.
Oh,
sure. Alright, let's give it a show here. Get your tickets, gotta get it at the right distance. 383-819. And most of you have heard this game. It's the King of Clubs. And our cash pot is up over $1,000. $1,048. Every week the odds get better. Every time we pull a card and it's not the winner, it doesn't go back in the deck. Eventually, it will not.
I buy all the tickets when it gets down to 2 cards.
We'll see how it goes. Oh, not it. It's a face card. It's a black face card. Not it.
Close, but no cigar.
There it goes.
all right. I think I'm up first. Last week when we had Nick Gallardo here and we passed around the basket for cash, we raised $392 for the scholarship. So thank you Also, as Jeff mentioned, John Wong, through extreme efforts, got Coach Jed Fish to come present for the June 23rd meeting. If you want to bring a guest, the guests are gonna cost $35, and signups are gonna be up
This afternoon.
this afternoon, so get on it. I think we cap out in this room at 140, so 140 people, so you wanna make sure you register for that fantastic program soon.
All right, I think we have Bruce Jacobs up. I'll take you. Okay.
I won't give you a hard time this week, Bruce.
Good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate those that have signed up early for Arizona Sands Club. Want to remind everybody that it's going to be on Tuesday, not on Wednesday. It's going to be exclusive to us. There's nobody else that's going to be there. So please, please, please be sure to sign up by the deadline, which is Friday, which means for many of you in the room, when you think that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, that it's okay to call Marina and say, hey, can you sign me up? So please sign up for that. And next, I'm assuming, yes. Close of administration. It's it is $55 per person. It's at the Westward Look. It's going to be up on the roof. The views are spectacular. I want to remind people that anybody has interest in doing a staycation, whether it has to do with Saturday night or Friday and Saturday night, rooms are $99 a night, and they're waiving the resort fee. So anyway, if you've never been to a close of administration party, you should be there. It'll be fun, and we're good.
History moment. Dr. Wong.
Where are your socks? How many women are wearing socks today?
That's it.
That I don't need to wear socks.
Exactly. We don't need those stinking socks.
That's your answer, yeah. Okay. Okay. When I had the privilege of becoming a member of this club in 1983, this man had already been a member for 17 years, and he continued in the club for almost 30. Does anybody know who this is?
Doug Holswell?
Barry Goldwyn. No, it's not Barry Goldwyn, but almost. Douglas Holswell. No. Who's moving the slide? I am. You're moving too fast. When I say go, right?
There's a time limit.
Yeah, this is a timed program. I know the clock is ticking on you, right? Anyway, Doug Holsclaw. He was born in 1898 in Idaho, and soon after he graduated from high school, he joined the U.S. Army. But very soon after that, that was in 1918, very soon after that, he came down with tuberculosis. And he was transferred from one veterans hospital to another, and he eventually ended up in Arizona, which was a place where TB was treated back in the days when there wasn't any other treatment except sunshine and fresh air. And that's how he ended up in Arizona. He entered U of A in 1921 as an undergraduate, graduated in 4 years with a Bachelor of Science degree. Then he entered Harvard Medical School. He was there for 2 years, but had a recurrence of tuberculosis. And so he returned to Arizona. He was in and out of hospitals for 7 years after that. But in spite of that, he learned how to sell insurance and apparently was very successful at it. In 1932, he married Alice Young. In 1936, they started Pima Realty and Insurance Company and ran that company till 1947, and it apparently was very successful. And you'll understand why later. 1950, enrolled in law school at the University of Arizona. In 1952, he was elected for the first time to the Arizona House of Representatives. He then continued on in the legislature. He spent 22 years total, 14 years in the House and 8 years in the Senate. He was a champion for education, health, and environment, and he was involved in writing and passing 200 bills. He belonged to many civic organizations in addition to this club. And he and his wife donated large sums of money to many charities in Tucson. And he never accepted a campaign contribution, not even from his own party.
Hallelujah.
Okay. As a student at U of A, he was a member of the band. He was also a cheerleader. And he wrote the official Arizona fight song in 1929. Next slide. That's some of his history in our club. This was in the directory in 1983. Next slide, please. So I wanted to tell you something about what he has done for the University of Arizona. Next slide, please. In the legislature, he convinced all those people in Maricopa to build the medical school in Tucson. Prior to 1967, there was no medical school in Arizona. But Doug Holzwell was the one that managed to get medical school built right here in Tucson. Next slide. And so it is today. Next slide, please. Next. Now, what did he do also for University of Arizona? I told you that he had been in the band, he'd been a cheerleader. Next slide. He's in the front row. That's to wake up some of the old guys. He wrote that fight song in 1929. It has sort of been put in the shadows by a song that was written in 1952, Bear Down, Arizona, and that's the one that most alumni usually sing. In any case, that was Doug Holzwell. He did some fantastic things for our state and for our city and for our university. Thank you very much. And here's one of our cheerleaders.
Very good, John.
I'll go with this one first. Always carry a few of these Corvette business cards that are on the back table with you. There's so many places in the day where you can leave one or offer one to a server or put it with a check or in the mail. We have only a few Rotarians who have them displayed in their offices. So if you have an office with foot traffic, there are some stands or little business stands that you can pick up with cards and a refill, and you can always call me for more cards. We have 3 months to get out 20,000 cards, and hopefully that will break our goal of $250,000 and get it up towards $500,000 to the JTIP. Second, Frank Dahl and I are trying to reinvigorate the member support committee. It's always been difficult to get members to let the club know when they're in a struggle mode. So we need those of you who have friends in the club that are having troubles to let Frank or I know through Dorena or Carrie, and we will be very discreet. We are looking for 4 or 5 people to join us on this committee, particularly a couple of female perspectives on how we can not only get member participation from the club, but get all members of the committee involved. It's not been easy in the past, so it won't be easy now, but we can do better, and we want to help more to give some support in whatever way it is to the people in the card or a call. Thanks very much.
My calendar will be freeing up in a couple weeks. All right, if you guys picked up your car show tickets today, please do not leave them in here. Take them with you. Or if you need to pick them up, please see Roger or Jeannie at the back table there. I want to thank all the guests and all the Rotarians that came and enjoyed the meeting today. Thank you, people who tuned in virtually. If you guys want to donate to our scholarship cups, there's a cup at the registration table, and also please return your name tags as you exit the building. Happy birthday, Harry Rich. Next week, remember we are having
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Next Tuesday, we're having a replacement mixer. So please, please, please make sure you sign up no later than
Friday.
Friday. You guys don't harass Dorina. All right. So I'm looking forward to next week's mixer. That will be fun. I have not been to the Sam's Club yet. So if you guys would like to join me for a toast. Today I'm ending with a quote from the book, The Little Prince. The most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or touched. They are felt with the heart. So here is to the beauty we feel each and every day, right here.
Here.
We'll see you next Tuesday.